Alright guys, welcome back to another classic pay-per-view review, and it is after midnight, so I am officially 28 years old now. I was a teenager when the show was on, and oh man, this is WWF Invasion 2001. From Cleveland, Ohio. This was requested by WPTV Largo, and this was after Vince bought WCW and ECW, and he was feuding with Shane and Stephanie, and it was the entire Invasion storyline angle. They had all these talented guys. It was cool to see the WCW guys. The ECW guys had actually already been on the show for a little while. They just kind of joined up as a group to fight against the WWF, but they had already been on the TV show. A lot of the WCW guys just kind of showed up, and that was a cool thing to see. The thing about this is, though, some of these matchups just were not very good. I mean, Regal versus Raven, that's just not good for either guy. And I don't know where they came up with some of these matches, but the show could have been a lot better. I think everybody agrees that the Invasion angle could have been much better. But anyway, there's a lot to talk about on this show. So the first match is Lance Storm and Mike Awesome representing Team ECW versus Edge and Christian. This was a good match. Christian actually almost kills himself trying a dive. He's supposed to run and jump off of Edge to the outside. However, his foot gets caught on the top rope and he just kind of tumbles over. It could have been much worse, but Mike Awesome goes for a running awesome bomb on Edge. He gets speared by Christian. Edge pins him for the win. And that was it. It was a good way to open the show. Good first match. And they said something on commentary about how Christian said Lance Storm was a Forrest Gump lookalike or something like that. That was pretty good. We see Vince backstage. He's happy about this. He's dancing. Regal comes up and tells him Stone Cold and Deborah have arrived. And Vince says, let's give him a little space for the moment. Vince tells Regal to beat Raven like the Redcoats. I thought that was a good line. They did this entire war theme throughout the night. But they do a video package for the ref match. We get Nick Patrick representing WCW versus Earl Hebner. Mick Foley is the special ref. I find it kind of funny how much they hype up Earl Hebner being so loyal to the WWF. How he's one of the most loyal guys, hardworking refs, and now he's in TNA. But anyway, the refs start brawling. Foley sends them to the back. Hebner wins with a spear shoulder block kind of thing. Afterwards, Nick Patrick is arguing with Foley, and he gets Sacco. I mean, it's kind of cool that they use the refs, and they've made it like a legit... I mean, they didn't have the announcers or anything. The announcers were so biased. But they did have the refs from WCW feuding with the WWF refs, and that was kind of a cool thing to see. They show a clip of DDP kidnapping Deborah on SmackDown. Deborah's freaking out backstage. Sarah tells her DDP is a psycho and a pervert. This was when DDP was stalking Undertaker's wife Sarah and doing the best of Sarah videos. And seeing like DDP kidnap Deborah and seeing Steve Austin on SmackDown just makes me remember the days where stuff would happen on SmackDown, where it wasn't just like the B show. I mean, it was always the B show, but you still had like angles going down on the show, and talent, you know, going back and forth. And now it's just kind of like not much happens on SmackDown that involves the main storylines. Like they just kind of recap stuff. You don't see Punk or Cena on SmackDown. But back then you saw Steve Austin. You'd see The Rock on SmackDown. So what's next here? Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo versus the APA. Tag champs versus tag champs. Teddy Long's the referee. And they beat the hell out of Farouk. They beat the crap out of him. He's getting the heat. And then he hits a shoulder block. And he's fine. Gets up like nothing happened to him. Tags in Bradshaw. I was like, what the hell, man? But anyway, Bradshaw hits a clothesline from hell on Palumbo for the win. So the young guys lost, but they were up against the APA, and they did look strong against them. So I guess that's something. Chris Jericho tells Vince that WCW never had a leader, but ECW does, and Heyman has passed on his psycho ways to Shane and Steph. Shane McMahon tells Kidman to take out X-Pac. Heyman says they're losing and they need this win. Kidman says, I'm going to go out there and show you exactly why they say X-Pac sucks. X-Pac. Oh man, this X Factor has to be the worst theme song in wrestling history. I hate this X Factor song. It's like Uncle Cracker or something. It is so horrible, and it instantly makes me hate whoever comes out to it. And I don't mind X-Pac. I hate some of this. I hate the Bronco Buster. I think that's stupid no matter who does it. I just hate that move. But watching shoot interviews and stuff, X-Pac seems like a really nice guy. But X Factor, that song, I just hate whoever comes out to it. And the fans were just... X-Pac was supposed to be the babyface because he's Team WWF, and the fans just shit all over him with the X-Pac sucks chants. JR was actually saying when he came out, I think, the fans are going to be behind X-Pac on this one, representing Team WWF. No, they weren't. And JR had to admit, I'm surprised. It was really funny. But, let's see. Oh, JR talks about X-Pac getting fired from WCW by FedEx when he injured his neck. Like Vince has never had that happen to anybody. The test situation. But, anyway. Kidman dives off the top, gets hit with the X Factor, but he kicks out. So Kidman was looking strong here. He counters the Bronco Buster with a kick to the balls and hits the Shooting Star for the win. This was a good match. X-Pac put on a good match, but it's just the fans hated him. That's where they get the term X-Pac heat. It's not the good heat where guys want to boo you or cheer you. It's just go away heat. They don't want to see you at all. And that is the worst thing in wrestling. DDP tells Shane, Steph, and Heyman he's going to win, and he's in Austin's head, he's in Taker's head. Stacy and Tori are talking about their asses and how they will give a private viewing to the Hardy Boys. We get Raven versus William Regal. Raven distracts the ref. Taz runs out, suplexes Regal. Raven hits the DDT for the win. It was okay. I mean, nothing much to it. Taker is with Kane and Sarah. Vince tells Taker they have lost the last two matches. They need this win. He brings up what DDP did to Sarah to try and inspire Taker, and Taker grabs him by the throat and says he's going to see the best of Taker tonight. Big Show, the one Billy Gunn and Albert Tensai versus Sean Stasiak, Kanyon, and Hugh Morris. Now, I'm pretty sure Team WCW here came out to Mr. Perfect's entrance music. That's just what it sounded like to me. They did a cool spot with all the WWF guys doing gorilla presses on the WCW guys. Billy Gunn is about to finish Hugh Morris when Stasiak runs in, hits the Scorpion Death Drop on him. Morris covers him. Sean Stasiak looked like he was confused by this. I think for a second he thought he was the legal man and was trying to make the cover, and then Morris just laid on Billy Gunn. But whatever happened, WCW gets the win here. Afterwards, Big Show choke slams the WCW guys and hits the alley-oop on Kanyon. So even though WCW won, they still look like crap at the end of the match. Shane is giving Booker a pep talk. William Regal tells Tajiri to destroy Taz. We get Taz versus Tajiri. Another match that was just okay. Taz hits the T-bone, shoves the ref. He goes to get Tajiri and gets hit with the green mist. Tajiri hits him in the head with a kick for the win. Matt Hardy is giving Jeff a pep talk. RVD runs in and takes out Matt with a chair, tells Jeff he's next. They cut to WWF New York, which they were doing the entire night. And we see Sparky Plug signing autographs. And a wrestling fan in a WCW shirt comes up to him and he says, "Do you know where you are? This isn't WCW New York, it's WWF New York." And he rips the guy's shirt off. It was funny. The guy was a horrible actor. He was smiling as he turned to run. Just stupid shit like that. But I don't know. I thought it was funny. RVD versus Jeff Hardy for the Hardcore title. This was a good match here. Probably, I did like the inaugural brawl, but between the two, it's tough to pick a winner as best match on this show because this match was very good. They brawl around in the crowd. Hardy pulls out this big-ass ladder from under the ring. He climbs it. I'm not sure why. I don't know what he was going to do. RVD was just laying on the ground on the outside, so he climbs to the top of this ladder like he's going to swanton onto the ground. So I don't know what he was thinking here. But RVD runs in, pushes the ladder over, and Jeff Hardy takes a fall. And JR says, learn to fall, my big Oklahoma butt. How do you learn to fall off a 20-foot ladder? He would always say stuff like that in the crazy spots, like when Foley goes off the cell, and he says, some jackass is sitting at home probably saying, will they know how to fall? And that would always piss JR off. But RVD gets a chair. Hardy takes it from him, hits RVD in the back. They fight up the ramp. RVD hits the Van Daminator. Hardy goes off the ramp. He actually gets busted open. He goes for the Swanton and misses. RVD hits the Frog Splash, gets the win, new Hardcore champion, and like I said, one of the best matches on the show, if not the best. Vince tells Angle to be a leader and to win this match for his country. And Angle says he's had enough of this Americana bullshit, and he will do it for himself. Team WCW ECW is getting a pep talk from Heyman. Stephanie just yells the entire time. She's something else. Austin tells Vince that he doesn't need a pep rally, and he's just here to whip somebody's ass. Bra and Panties match. Stacy Keibler, Tori Wilson versus Trish and Lita. Foley is the special ref again. This was actually good. Trish and Lita win. And as they leave, Trish and Lita are walking up the ramp, and the stage was kind of... it wasn't just a straight ramp. It had like a little hole in the middle, like a little pit of death. And as Trish is walking backwards, she almost falls into this pit, and Lita catches her. Perfect timing. Lita looked completely cool about the entire thing, but yeah, Trish almost fell down this huge pit on live TV. So we get the inaugural brawl. Heyman, Shane, Steph, and Vince all come out. It's Austin, Taker, Kane, Jericho, and Angle versus DDP, Booker, the Dudley Boys, and Rhino. JR sounds like he legit hates DDP. And he also puts down Booker doing the spin-a-rooney, saying that's a stupid move, it doesn't help the match. And he's just saying this stuff the entire time. JR does have a right to be pissed off at WCW for what they did with the Ed Ferrara skits, making fun of him with the Oklahoma stuff. And yeah, WCW did some pretty shitty things, but he shouldn't be mad at the workers. And it's just because it was JR and Cole. They were already ripping on him, and I know they're the heels, but it sounded personal to me. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that's how it felt when I was watching this pay-per-view. Was JR legit hated DDP and was Booker to an extent. Not so much, but he just put down DDP the entire time, telling the fans that his moves sucked, and he hit a neck breaker on Undertaker, and he's like, oh, like a neck breaker is going to keep Taker down. Just shit like that the entire time. And it got old. But it was a good match. All hell breaks loose, of course. And they all start brawling. Referee Charles Robinson takes a last ride. Austin and Booker are brawling. Austin's knee gets injured, and he's selling that on the outside. They got some medics come to look at him. The Dudleys set up a table. Kane chokeslams Devon through the announcer table, and Bubba and Rhino suplex Kane through the other announce table. Jericho dives off the apron, putting Rhino through the table the Dudleys set up. These were some pretty cool spots here. Angle fights off both Bubba and Booker. The ref takes a bump. DDP and Taker are off fighting somewhere in the crowd. They disappear. Vince throws Angle the belt, but Shane runs in, grabs the belt, and lays out Vince. Angle hits the Angle Slam on Booker. He's got him in the ankle lock. Steve Austin comes back. He picks the ref up, throws him in the ring, and then he attacks Kurt Angle. He hits the stunner, and Booker pins him, giving Team WCW ECW the win, and Steve Austin joins Team WCW ECW. Afterwards, Austin drinks beers with Heyman, Shane, and Steph, and that was it. And I could just see the recaps they would play on Monday Night Raw, or later on, because I don't know if they always would recap it back then. Sometimes they just show pictures. But when they did a video package, you could just see it where Austin runs in, and he kicks Angle, and then the camera goes into slow-mo and black and white. Like, you can just, you know what they did. And it's just like, he's running, and then he hits the kick, and the camera slows to the point where he attacks Angle, and it's like, doom, and it plays that music. But yeah, they still do that stuff. So yeah, Steve Austin joined the heel group for a horrible run as a heel, and that was it. That was the show. So it was interesting. I liked the main event. It was cool to see all these guys go out there, and they gave all of them a good amount of time. The match had a lot of time, so everybody got to go in and hit their spots and stuff. And Jeff Hardy versus RVD was good. The opening tag match was good. Everything else was kind of just like a random matchup I didn't really care about. I mean, Tajiri and Taz, Regal and Raven. It's not that I don't like those wrestlers. It's just for the Invasion. And I can't remember. I watched a shoot interview, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was Shane Helms. And he said one reason it sucked for Team WCW was they didn't have their varsity team. They didn't have Hogan, Hall, Nash, Goldberg. They were just using, like, they had some good names, but it definitely wasn't the same as Team WWF. So, yeah, it could have been much better with the Invasion angle, and this is something fans could only dream about in the Monday Night War era. And once it happened, it was just kind of disappointing. I mean, it just didn't deliver like we all expected it to, but I don't think the Invasion was completely horrible. I think it did have some really cool stuff. It's just it could have been so much better. So much. They could have made this last for a very, very long time. And I don't know, people say Vince's ego, and of course that had to be, you know, a major factor. He fought these guys in the ratings every single week, and even though he crushed them, we all know how Vince thinks, and he didn't make these guys, and he doesn't give a crap about these guys, and he definitely, you know, took advantage of them being in his company. So yeah, that was it. Invasion 2001 overall, not the best show ever. Had some cool matches. It was fun to watch for nostalgia. It was cool to see the WCW guys in WWF, but as far as the pay-per-view goes, it just wasn't very good. And for the Invasion, no, did not deliver on my expectations at all. So anyway, that's my review of WWF Invasion 2001. Hope you guys like this video. Leave your thoughts on this show in the comments below, and thanks for watching.